if you live in the United States, we live this democracy and this society is a capitalistic society.
Right.
It is meant to have businesses and employees, period. You are either a business owner or you are an employee. Make no mistakes about that. In this system, you are one or the other.
Why do you feel like most small business owners are not able to get access to the capital that they need to scale?
Most small business owners are not able to get access to the capital because they've not done the things to be bankable.
What's going on, Bag Family? It is Coach Darius D. Brown, and we are back with another one. Another week, another dynamic episode, and we got my brother Gene back for a second time. And you guys probably like, he doesn't look like a familiar face. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of the background story. Brother Gene came to our platform about a month or so ago, and we ran into some technical issues, man, and he made it a point to circle back to ensure that, listen, I'm an expert in my field, and I'm willing to do my due diligence to provide this value to you guys, man. So without further ado, man, welcome Brother Gene Smith II. What's going on, bro? How you feeling?
Man, I'm wonderful, man. How you?
Man, I'm blessed, bro. I'm on 1,000 right now. I feel great.
Yes, sir.
Today I feel great.
Yes, sir.
Every day's not like that though, man. Some days I'm like, man, I'm growing through what I go through.
Yes, sir.
Just full transparency. But to see you, brother, I appreciate you, man. I really, really do.
That is a understandable and recognizable place, I think, for us all. But like you say, you go through what you grow through, and I think for me that's kind of where I'm at too. And I'm on 1,000, but I ain't always here. Matter of fact, when I woke up this morning, what I'm saying, I was in, things were a bit off, but I'm committed to staying positive. So glad to see you and your energy, man. It just really reinforced that for me. So
that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, this past week I had the pleasure of, getting pinned for the second go around through my church made men cohort, man. And it was, thank you, bro. It was surgical. It was surgical, man.
Yes, sir.
I was sharing with my wife. Well, she lives with me, but I was like, it was certain days where she didn't see it or the kids didn't see it where I'm happy. And then the next day, literally, I'm bawling.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to identify where is this coming from, right? So it allowed me to be able to take a step back to say, Darius, have some grace with yourself and relax into who you are becoming as a comprehensive man, as a complete man, right? And it's no gimmick, man. I'm really intentional every day with knowing that I fall short of glory, but God is still writing my story.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And because of that, I'm like, okay, I am going to give myself that grace because God's already given it to me. Absolutely. So why wouldn't I give it to myself? Absolutely. Why wouldn't I give it to my fellow brother or my fellow sister? To know it's not about Darius. I want people to know that God is real.
Yes, sir.
Because he's radiating through me right now.
Yes, sir. If
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Got it, man. So I know we're a little off topic, man, but listen, people, make sure you got facts. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, share with someone that you know that can benefit from this value, man. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for those that do not know Brother Gene, man. Brother Gene is a systems architect and author, community builder. A little bit of his bio. He's a minister and community builder whose work spans nearly 3 decades across the arts, technology, business, and faith. At the center of everything he does is a single conviction that people are designed to live whole, abundant lives, right? And that the right systems make that possible. And that stood out to me, brother, because I'm a firm believer of structure and systems, right? This is all biblical, by the way, right?
Yes,
and systems, the acronym for systems for me is saving yourself time, energy, and money.
Okay.
When you have the right systems in place, you're not overwhelming or overexerting yourself because you have these systems aligned that are conducive to the growth of your business and the foundation that you're building towards your business, if that makes sense. So to see their synergy there on what you've done and what you've built and what we're doing on this side, man, I said, bro, I got to bring you back, man.
Yes, sir.
I got to bring you back. So if you don't mind just sharing a little bit of your background to the audience for us.
So background kind of, as you kind of read there, spans wide space of industries. From ministry, I'm a pastor's kid, so raised in the church. But from that perspective, I love God. God has always been real. Christ has always been real. But there was something that I felt like the church only addressed a portion of what it was that we needed, and that not looking at that as a knock, but we kind of addressed the spiritual man, but then we left church, we went home, and what I'm saying, some of us were still kind of sick, some of us were still trying to figure out how we were going to pay bills. We understood how to tithe and to trust God, and God absolutely shows up, but there was still a understanding that we didn't have of how to produce. And so that kind of stuck with me, and I took that with me. And as I kind of read over in Acts, and what I was seeing was, as they brought all and laid everything at the apostles' feet, it wasn't to make the apostles rich. It was to start that beginning of a system, an ecosystem, where all things would be considered equal amongst those people. And so, again, and I don't want to stray too far off, but so my background kind of, led me from there, and with that understanding, I went into business. I ran and operated a successful staffing company. From staffing, I then went into economic development, community development. I now operate a company called the Smith Group, where we deal in community and economic development. Also co-founded Isaacs Smith and Powell, where we handle in business development, asset management, government relationships, lobbying, and then from the ministry perspective, because I didn't leave it, I operate Focus Life Ministries, where we operate in wellness, holistic ministries, the full understanding of what I would call the full understanding of Christ. And then creating those three as an ecosystem that really addresses, again, community, finances, education, and government relations, putting those all things, which is just the kingdom mission. When you look at it, when you actually go and read Acts, that's just the kingdom mission wrapped up in an ecosystem, executed in a way to bless God's people. That's the long and short on me.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Do you believe? I had this misconception because I was taught second way, which is the church's way, not third way, which is God's way, the kingdom's way, where before I dedicated my life back to Christ, I automatically thought that I was a child of God. Until my pastor had to correct me and say, you are a creation from God. But until you actually make that private and public declaration to give your life back and to die out that flesh, that you're just a creation of God. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love you, but you have to make that commitment. Do you feel, brother, that we are all destined for abundance?
Do I feel we're all destined for abundance? I think we are all, abundance is accessible to us all.
Okay. Expound on that for me.
Well, it is our birthright to live abundantly. the abundant. There is no lack on this earth except the lack that you perceive and then accept. And unfortunately, perception is reality. So the destination of abundance that has to come with a choice. Here's what, and I'm going to try not to preach, but I'll use
Keep it real, brothers. Keeping it real with the Browns. Please do.
Here is what there's a scripture. It says, "I've set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Therefore, choose life, that both you and your seed shall live." That verse is in Deuteronomy 30:19. Now, the choice is life and death. They are both laid out before you. You have to choose life in order to receive the abundance. If you do not choose it, you will not receive it. That's the same thing that your pastor was saying. Yeah, you are a creation. You have all of the authorities. Matter of fact, there's another scripture that says that that an heir, although a child, differs nothing more than a servant. And the reason that is because when you are in that low place, when you have not taken on your authority, then you're not going to receive any of the blessings that comes with that.
Correct. That makes so much sense. I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, because growing up, it was, again, we don't know what we don't know, but if we don't have the intention to truly seek truth,
yeah,
right?
Ooh, yes, sir.
Then we're living in this Pharaoh cycle.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because we fall back into what's familiar, what we were taught, right? Not saying that grandma, grandpa, parents were bad people. They just didn't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. So that's where I extend grace. So I'm in a season where I'm seeking truth.
Yes, sir.
Every single day.
Yes,
and the truth is in the good word.
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's good, brother. So let's get into it, man. So you talked about these different business models that you are currently creating with your dynamic team. And I feel like you don't have to be in a pulpit to do God's work.
No, sir.
There's different streets in the marketplace where you're able to create something where you now become the solution to someone else's problem, right? Whether you're in government, right? Whether you're in the financial industry, like me and my wife and our team, whether you are in hospitality, logistics, real estate, there's always a solution to a problem. And how can you identify someone's pain point, right? By solving their problem. So let me ask you this. What inspired Gene to get in this particular industry? And what have been some ebbs and flows that you have experienced throughout your journey as a business owner, a successful business owner? And if you can give some insight and a little bit of advice for our audience on the necessary steps that they need to take to first become the best version of themselves so they can have the capacity to reach that level of abundance that their heart desires.
Man, that was loaded. The short of it, I think, is just kind of takes me back to where I started at the beginning. Seeing a problem for me, very passionate about the people who were around me whether it was in church, although, yeah, sure. I want to be very clear. I was very much exposed and grew up in church, but that wasn't my only experience.
Okay.
So I have led a very well-rounded and well-balanced life. So I've been on both sides.
So it wasn't one-dimensional.
Absolutely.
Okay,
not.
that's okay.
And that is that's my secret weapon. That is the blessing that God allowed me to have gone through the valley, and to the mountain. I've been but anyway, to answer your question, so in kind of seeing for the people who were around me a desire to have better, but not necessarily knowing how to get it. You talked about not knowing what you don't know, even in church, being preached a certain type of message, and wanting, hey, you're supposed to be healed, but you don't see the healing coming. You know what I'm saying? People are still sick and dying, and so what's going on with that? But you understand that there is a power there. You hear about the blessings of God, how God is going to make you rich and add no sorrow with you. There's no sorrow with it, but I was still saying, hey, well, some of my brothers and sisters aren't really making the money like they would desire to make. Mm-hmm. And they don't, it's not from lack of work or lack of ethic. They don't understand how to put the pieces together, so to speak. I start looking around, and I'm listening to us black folks complain about the system not being for us, and about how other races and other cultures have money, but we don't. I'm hearing those complaints, and although I don't necessarily feel like that was totally true, but the complaint was out there, right?
Right.
And so I'm seeing problems for me, and I'm going, this for me is a knowledge problem. This is an information problem. Okay. This is a dots needing to be connected problem. This is a access to resource problem. This is an financial education problem, right?
Right.
And it's not just localized, it's been widespread. So I started to put my mind to, well, how do I bless my people? How do I bless the people of God? How do I do ministry? How do I do all of that stuff outside the church? I'm a businessman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I arrived at where it is that I've arrived. And through the system that I've created, understanding how money flows. So, I have my collection of for-profits with my nonprofit. Okay. And I have my business structured so that the for-profits feed into my nonprofits, and we understand how my holding corps work, and we can get into that. You understand. So I'm kind of talking a lot because your question was a bit
loaded.
So hopefully I answered you.
Yes.
In some of the things that I said there.
Definitely. Yeah, it was definitely a loaded one, man. But that's what we're about. I'd rather give extra than give less, even in my questions. So, okay. So you talked about us, our community, our culture,
yes, sir.
Black people. Being ignorant to something can be expensive.
Yes, sir.
Right? And
yes, sir.
if you don't, if we're not intentional to release ourselves from this bondage, or playing victim, having the victim mentality, or not having the confidence to say, you know what, I can be a successful business owner. Mm-hmm. I see Gene out here making an impact in such a dynamic way. He's willing to give me the information, because I'm a firm believer that information is the fertilizer to our wealth. However, you can't be curious on information, but allergic to execution.
Absolutely.
How do we bridge the gap with our people to say, listen, for example, you have relationships with lenders where you can help your ecosystem get funded, mm-hmm. and you're providing the value, and you're providing the necessary blueprint, framework, whatever you want to call it. But people are not willing to take the opportunity when it's presented to them. How do we bridge the gap to say, all right, people, in order for us to get to the next level, we have to be willing to make guarantees to ourselves? Because right now it seems that we're wanting everyone to make guarantees to us, but we're not willing to make guarantees to ourselves. We're not willing to get our credit where it needs to be. We're not willing to implement that monthly budget. We're not willing to start that business
I'm gonna
venture.
tell you something. It's not an unwillingness. It's fear.
It's fear.
We don't see it that way, but and here's what the fear is. It's the I don't know that space. See, I don't know the steps to, I hear it. Sure, that sounds easy, get my credit right. But I mean, that means that I'm gonna have to divert some money from where I'm currently, spending it, right? And these things that I feel like are necessary to maintain, to sustain. Because we don't realize and we kind of talked about this, how we last time, but we don't realize how sometimes we get stuck in this survival mode, even unconsciously, that we're still moving in survival mode. But survival mode and all of the things that I've done in survival mode that's comfortable. I know that, right? Mm-hmm. You're asking me to start taking steps toward the unknown, and although it makes logical sense, that unknown is uncertainty, and uncertainty is always fear. It always takes something that's going to be some semblance of jarring.
Correct.
That's going to flip that switch.
That's good, brother.
But what we can do is we can start to help and start to bridge the gap with, what those steps are, so that the unknown becomes a bit more familiar and it's not quite scary.
Makes sense. Okay. So let's get into it, man. Let's get right into it. So why do you feel like most small business owners are not able to get access to the capital that they need to scale?
Most small business owners are not able to get access to the capital because they've not done the things to be bankable. So as I have assisted, we operate kind of in the CDFI space, as we assist small businesses with trying to get a loan. As a matter of fact, even receive funding from like a private equity. Right. Having your articles of organization, articles of incorporation, having your business bank account, having transactions going through that bank account, having some sort of, if not an accounting software that has your P&L. That's good. These are the things that what a bank is going to want. They want to see that business is happening.
That's so good.
Now, but here's the truth, and here's why I talk about resolving things for us, because the other side of that is you can't have all of that in place and still run into issues with traditional banks.
Traditional banks, right?
So there's also some understanding of maybe how to move within the system and just having the proper network and connections.
That's so good.
But the largest problem with smaller business owners is just having done the initial foundational groundwork and paperwork, the administrative things that makes your business an actual business.
Got it. So what are lenders and capital partners actually looking for to even approve a qualified applicant?
They are looking to de-risk the investment as much as possible. So they are looking to see what your revenue is. They are looking for they're looking at the industry that you're operating in, of course.
If it's high risk.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They are looking at, I mentioned your P&L, your profit and loss statement. What you are generating, what you are, your taxes. Are you actually filing
That's good.
your taxes? How long you've been in business? And then what your business plan is. And in most cases, depending on whether we're talking about, if you're talking about like an investor, whether you're seed A or whether you are, Series A or seed round, or, they're also looking to at some point know what your exit strategy is.
Okay. Okay. Because a lot of people are now selling off their business, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You get in business to make money. I know traditionally we think, and we talk a lot about legacy, and that's important.
For sure.
But a business is created to generate profit. You want to sell it at its peak, or very close to it. You know what I'm saying? When you can get the most from it and get out of there.
Right.
You're not looking to hold on to it. It's just paper.
Makes sense. So I've been hearing now that people are, like you said, people would rather purchase a profitable existing business opposed to starting a business ground up.
Yes, sir.
Can you expound on that? And what's the benefit of investing or buying a pre-existing profitable business?
Well, acquiring a business, you acquire the assets, you acquire the revenue, you acquire the tenure of that business. So if you're looking to, a lot of times you were talking about being bankable. We were talking about that earlier. So maybe your business, you've only been in business for a year, 2 years, but you are in a position through either loans or funding or however to acquire a business that has more tenure. Well, all of that business's credibility also comes with it. You can now utilize that business to generate more funding for your business. If that is an active business, then you also acquire potentially the staff that comes along with that, the management and their infrastructure. So it helps to strengthen what you already have. So it's a great strategy for scaling and increasing capacity.
I was just like, you're walking into positive equity as well.
Potentially, absolutely.
Got it. Okay. I think that's where due diligence period, when you even are looking to acquire an existing business. Gotcha. Okay.
And then you also talk about things like trade lines and that kind of thing. So all of that goes into the benefits of acquiring a business.
Got it. At what stage do you advise for a small business owner to even start considering getting capital or applying for capital?
I mean, I think that depends, but you're going to need capital. It takes money to make money.
For sure.
You're going to need to have an understanding of where your money is coming from very early on, if not at the beginning. Now we're all in different positions, but if you're talking about starting a business, you need to know how that business is going to be funded. So, where does your initial investment come in? That's going to, if you don't have the personal credit or the personal guarantee to get a loan yourself, then you're going to need to bring on partners, potentially a CFO or potentially an investor who's going to come in and say, hey, because you're going to need to pay staff depending on what your business model is and what it is that you're doing. So you're going to need to be able to pay staff. You're going to need to be able to pay for your runway until your revenue starts to generate. So you need to know very early on where the money's coming from.
Got it. Can you explain what an operating agreement is?
Absolutely. So an operating agreement is, how your business is going to operate and who the either stakeholders and owners are within the business. So it outlines who owns what percentage of the business, how the dividends and or shares will be divided and dispersed. So it is basically, this is how this business is going to operate, and this is who's responsible for it, and this is who benefits from it.
Okay. So why does a business owner need an operating agreement?
Well, you asked about, or we were talking about being bankable. First of all, to open up a bank account, you have to have an operating agreement. This is going to also, again, be your outline of your business entity everywhere and with everyone that you engage with as it relates to money. Your operating agreement is going to be necessary. That is what states who and what you are.
So good. Even if it also, it's great to have. So I have a client that just completed their business plan through KSU, Kennesaw State University. So the business administration team over there, dynamic team. Usually I send some clients over there to assist. A lot of people don't understand, like they think it's traditional. I'm like, no, like depending on what direction you're looking to take your business, when we're talking about scalability, talking about scaling your business, you need that business plan. You need to, all right, I want to kind of debunk the myth, right? Because a lot of times people are so pressed to get funded without having structure in place, right? Correct. Having the proper formations in their business set up. But what we have to understand is the banks are not lending to the business. Correct. They're lending to the person behind the business. Correct. They're lending to Darius Brown, right? They're lending to Gene Smith. So if I haven't, number one, established good faith with other lenders out there, with their partners, there's a red flag there, right? So this is one of the reasons why, and I hope that you guys, even if you're watching this episode, that you're taking the copious notes, but you apply it and you reach out, because we'll have Brother Gene's information in the description, so you can reach out to him and his team. They'll go over and map out wherever you're at, go over a strategy call with you. But it's so crucial, especially in this economic landscape that we're in, people. We have to prioritize not only our life, but our business. Like, take care of your business. As an adult, when I'm handling business, I have this euphoria, like I'm talking about. It makes you feel good when you're out here really handling business, and then you are pushing the envelope to pay it forward, to share the value, to share the knowledge, right? Where we're now exercising what I call group economics. Like you were talking about, that's the objective here with what you're doing. You are exercising group economics in such an intentional way, because a lot of times people, they're hungry for success. They're hungry to make a difference for themselves and their family. They just don't have the resources.
And if I were to be honest, and this is kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, you said handling business. We say that term loosely, but I think what I am seeing is that there is really not a understanding, not for real, of how to handle business. And it's why we so easily fall into just a work system, because the business, the organization, see, that's what a business is. It's an organization. It is organized, right?
Come on.
It's structured. See, what I know is when I go in there, that thing is already structured. I can see it. I can trust that it's structured. And then when I do what they tell me, then I get a check. Wow, that's comfortable. I don't have to think about that for myself, because, see, if I don't do that, then that means that I got to get myself up in the morning, and nobody tells me not to. And I don't really understand how that affects my productivity. But at that job, they make me and they'll withhold my check. See, it's not as you don't see so so clearly how your check gets withheld when you're not up on time when you're running your own business. If you don't know what organization looks
That's
like,
powerful.
you don't see the power, or you have not disciplined yourself to walk in that efficiency, right? In that organization. And a lot of people are saying, I'm not comfortable with making myself that organized, and I don't see the check in 2 weeks like I did when I was at work.
Right.
So that comfortability, when I talk about uncertainty, now I got to figure out what organization looks like, how to be organized, how to run a business, when in truth, we should run our lives like a business, like an organization, because we should be organized, whether you are running your own business or just running your own bank account. You should have some semblance of a profit and loss statement.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
That's balancing your checkbook.
That's balancing your checkbook. That's a fact. That's a fact. And just to piggyback off of that, man, even when I got into entrepreneurship, I was under skewed mentorship, where I was a lot of self-centeredness going on, where I adopted those just bad behavioral patterns on making people or condemning people for not even starting a business. Then as I grew up and matured as an entrepreneur, it's like being a business owner is a privilege. Number two, everyone cannot be a business owner. So I want to set the record straight. We're not here to say everybody. Now, I do recommend putting your money in other vehicles, so your money, because your money will always
multiple streams of income.
Your money will always work harder than you, right? So putting your money in the vehicles, right? S&P 500, opening up a Fidelity account, right? And a Vanguard account, right? But to say everybody should have their own business, it's just, I will be doing you a disservice, right? And I think us as business owners, we have to be careful as far as what we say, right? And the messaging that we're putting out there, because a lot of people, they'll quit their 9 to 5 because they'll see a highlight reel and they see people out here running a business, but they don't see the behind the scenes.
So I'm going to tell you what I think, because I have flip-flopped with that as well.
Okay, expound.
I was very passionate. I think kind of like you were. Everybody should have their own business. You should be running business. If you're working, you're a slave. That kind of thing. I was real passionate, real offensive from that standpoint. And then you grow up, you get wiser. No, everybody can't manage a business in the way that I do, to the scale with which I do. But I am going to go back and say, no, everybody should.
Okay. Enlighten me, sir.
But the clarity that I want to give is simply the statement that I just made, because you are a business. This first of all, you have to understand, if you live in the United States, we live this democracy and this society is a capitalistic society.
Right.
It is meant to have businesses and employees, period. Mm-hmm. You are either a business owner or you are an employee. Make no mistakes about that. In this system, you are one or the other. Understand business is really what I'm saying. And understand business and understand what role you play in business. And then when you take that to your private, understand the difference between public and private, but operate your business, operate you as a business to the point that maybe. So if you got
good. Oh, so we're all our own entity.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. Gotcha. So, okay, go ahead. But the government
has even written you up that way within your social security number and your birth certificate.
Come on. Teach us, sir.
I won't get into
Teach us,
too
sir.
much of that, but
Yeah.
on paper, your name is called a straw man. It is, you are a business, but you are being operated by someone else. Operate your business is all I'm saying, and understand how business works. And it's all of our responsibility to no longer be children. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you don't know how this game works, then you are still operating like a child. And that's the problem. And the problem is
that.
we don't know the game. And so that's why we are all saying, well, I can't run a business. You are right. You can't. But you should. And you need to know how to.
You played Monopoly growing up, right?
Pick up Monopoly. You just took the words out of my mouth.
If you haven't played Monopoly as a kid, what are we doing? And if you have kids, have them make family night every Friday night Monopoly, because that's the foundation right there. You're absolutely correct, bro. Yes, we are a business, right? And you're right. This country is ran off the 2 C's, capitalism and credit. And a lot of times we get caught behind the 8 ball because we get engulfed. Again,
we have sucky credit and we can't get any capital.
And then we try to skip hurdles. I have shitty personal credit, but I need a business loan. I want to establish business credit. Like you said, organization, organize, and structuring. See, God is a God of order.
Absolutely.
Right? So he created from Joseph, Moses, he's letting them know, create these systems, create this structure. Because number one, money runs away from chaos. Mm-hmm. Success, it can't coexist, right? Money runs away from confusion. Money runs away from chaos, right? Money is a resource, but money is not the source.
Money is not.
Only he is the source.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm not here to get biblical, but I'm sharing with you guys that abundance, as Brother Gene said, abundance is our birthright.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, I'm going to keep it real because this is keeping it real with the Browns. Only a select few that are watching this will even touch abundance.
Absolutely.
The other 95% won't see it because you haven't made the conscious decision to, number one, shift this. This right here is powerful, right? If it's to be, it's up to me. So, bro, that was so powerful because I'm even here being a student taking it, because you're right. We need to operate ourselves as a business, because we are a business. That's good, bro. So let me ask you this. How important is policy awareness from the local, state, and federal perspective when it comes to getting grants, getting let's say, for example, a person has taken the traditional route, but they want to go out and apply for an SBA loan.
Listen,
when it comes to the policy awareness, what do
policy awareness is where you live. Okay. I need to say this, and you walk me right into it. Know how to play the game. See, we oftentimes are upset, with who's in office, so on and so forth, and then all the while saying that there's no money available. Well, the policies and the people who are in office, every time they direct the flow of money, and then they tell you where it is that the funds are. The policies tell you what position you need to be in order to receive them. If you have any challenges with that, then you find yourself in the positions where you get in the offices where you can affect those policies, change them, so on and so forth. But, the knowledge is the key. Knowing how to play the game, knowing what to do in the game is how you benefit from it. And so very, very important, and utilize it strategically as often as possible.
That's good. That leads me to my next question. So how can small businesses plug into economic development ecosystems?
Believe it or not, there's a lot that are out there. And that's the other thing I think for small businesses to understand is that there are mission aligned investors. There are just research. There are large even ministries, believe it or not, depending on what it is that your industry is. Okay. Now that's going to be the other thing. You know what I'm saying? Some things vary based on industry. But what I guarantee you is if you spend the time to really develop, whether it's a product, whether it's a technology, there is funding that's available for it. If you take the time, you talk about business plan earlier, if you take the time to actually work this through, think out the details, the ecosystems will kind of appear to some degree as you're doing the work. But when you're talking about whether it is finances, whether you need to have credit repair within that, along that path of doing what's necessary to get yourself in the position to be bankable, you'll connect to the ecosystems within your industry. I know I'm a bit.
No, that makes sense. That makes so much sense. Yeah, definitely. I feel that when it comes to businesses or small business owners, they feel that they have everything mapped out, like they have all their ducks in a row, but they're making the assumption because they don't know what's on the other side. They haven't talked to a Gene Smith or a Darius Brown that's in the industry that has these connections with bankers and lenders. So they're going off the assumption, or they're not willing to ask the right questions. And I think I feel like that's the part where people are remaining stuck because
Yes, sir.
It's like you have not because you ask not.
Yes, sir.
You're not asking.
Yes, sir.
If you ask and you position yourself, it's just like with us, with our financial advisor. We ask certain questions. Our new CPA that we just brought on board, because again, I think I was sharing with you, I saw our tax bill a couple months ago and dang near fainted, brother. I dang near fainted because our last accountant had informed us that we were filed as an S corp, right? So, and here's one of the things, and you can elaborate on this. When you are building something dynamic and something powerful, your head can be down. And my head was down because I was working, and I was trusting because I wasn't properly vetting these people. Because it's not like your CPA is a part of your team. Your financial advisor is a part of your team, right? So it's not just within your direct infrastructure, right? You bring these people on, they're part of your team now. And my big mistake, because I learned through trial and error, was I bring you on, I don't properly vet you, I trust your word, and I keep my head down and I'm just building the business, right? Last accountant never filed the S corp, the late election. So now, as of today, we're still waiting because our CPA just filed it a little bit after the deadline. It was like April 20th he just filed. So we're still waiting on that response, right? So we can save on that tax bill. And that leads me to, well, let me ask you, like, do you want to expound on the importance of, number one, asking questions? No question is a dumb question. We learned that as kids, right? And we are all adults here, hopefully, right? But just expound on that, brother, if you don't mind.
You hit the nail on the head. Ask questions. For instance, there is an assumption that there is no money available. Ask where do I get money from for my business? Is there money available for the government, from the government for my business? Ask that question. And I'm going to say this, utilize your resources now. AI is a good resource for research to help pull down information specific to your business. You definitely want to verify the information that you get. But when you're looking for funding specific to your business, you can pull that. But more than that, one of the things that, and here's the education piece that I like to give people when it relates to getting money for their business, right? Private equity investors are either individual or companies who have funds that they have acquired from other people or maybe even themselves, right?
Okay.
And they are looking for this money to make money, because when you understand how money flows, dead money don't make no money.
I always say for every dollar that's not moving is losing.
Absolutely. But so private equity investors have this capital that they are looking to invest in businesses and or opportunities, projects that could potentially bring back revenue that, either 10x's, 1x's, whatever their initial investment. They are looking for places to put the money. They are looking for you to be the right opportunity. All you have to do is, number one, align yourself, and you're going to align yourself by doing all of the necessary things that we talked about, not only to be bankable, but to make sure that your business model and that your business plan is in place that's going to generate the kind of revenue that could potentially take on a private equity investor who, what they're going to look at is either potential ownership in your company or potential equity on the back end, but you can work that out. But by asking the correct questions, you'll find that it's money everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's not that money or capital isn't available. It is, are you in the right place to receive it when it comes?
That's good, bro. That's good. Man, listen, guys. My brother, he's a busy, he's a productive man, right? So we got to wrap up shortly here, man. But we appreciate you, bro. Listen, we're gonna have his information in the description below, so you guys make sure you tap in with Brother Gene and his team. They're gonna get you right and position you in your business for success. Well, before we wrap up, brother, we do this thing called Fire Round. So I'm gonna ask you a question, this or that.
Okay.
You hit us quick, all right?
Okay.
Bank loan or private investor?
Private investor.
Okay. Structure or hustle?
Structure.
Revenue or relationships?
Relationships.
Grants or equity?
Grants.
Policy or networking?
Networking.
Biggest myth about funding?
That there isn't any.
One word that defines a bankable business?
Ready.
This
Prepared.
is prepared, okay? This is a blank. You fill in the blank. Capital is attracted to
energy.
Ooh, I like that. Execution without structure is blank.
Failure.
One book every entrepreneur should read.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. That's what I'm talking about. My man, listen, brother, we appreciate you, man, for sure, for having us. We got to bring you back, man. We're going to have a round two, because I feel like there's so much to unpack with this topic and this discussion that I feel like our viewers are going to they're going to appreciate this one. But we got to bring you back, bro, if you don't mind. We got to bring you back, man. You want to leave us with any closing remarks, brother?
I would simply say that abundance is for you, but you must accept it. In order to accept it, you have to become aware. And in order to be aware, you have to go on the inside, become fully aware of you. Once you become fully aware of you, then you become fully aware of what's yours. Once you become fully aware of what's yours, then you will see the abundance that is absolutely ordained and authorized and meant to be yours. Live in that place. Focus on life.
You have it. There you have it. My man. Love, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Till next week. Love.